This is a review lesson on operations with decimals. So first rule is talking about addition and subtraction of decimals. The rule is to line up the points and then either add or subtract. So in our first example, we have 4 and 5/10 plus 4 thousandths. You would round the 4.5 to a 5, and you'd round 4 thousandths to 0, and we get 5 plus 0. Our estimated answer is 5. When you go to write the problem, because we have 4 thousandths, and you line up the points, and then you add the numbers, and I insert zeros on top just to make it look nice and neat. And I add 0 plus 4 is 4, 0 and 0 is 0, 5, 4. The answer is 4 and 504 thousandths, and that's close to my estimate of 5. I look at a subtraction example, and I see I have 2 minus 7 thousandths. I estimate, so I round the 2 is still a 2. The 7 thousandths I round to a 0, and my answer should be approximately 2. So what you see here is when I rewrote the problem, I can't just go 2 minus 007. Remember, if a decimal point's not included in the original number, it's always to the right of a whole number. So in order to do that subtraction, I add as many zeros as need be at the top. I do my subtraction with regrouping, and you see my difference is 1 and 993 thousandths. So the key, if you're subtracting and it's a whole number subtracted in a fraction or a decimal subtracted from a whole number, you have to add zeros, insert zeros in the top. Remember that inserting zeros to the right of a decimal point does not change the value of the number. Let's talk about multiplication of decimals. Rule is 3 steps. Multiply normally. Count the number of decimal places. Place the decimal point in the product, the same number of places counting from right to left. So you don't really have to worry about lining up the decimals. In this case, it happens that they did. So it's 2/10 times 5/10. You multiply normally. So 5 times 2 gets me a 10. I count the number of decimal places. So I count. I have 1 decimal place here, another 1 here. That's 2 decimal places. So in the answer of 10, moving from right to left, I go 1, 2, and place my point. So the product of 2/10 times 5/10 is 1/10. If I had a different example where I had 0.20 times 0.5, I would go ahead and go 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 2 is 10. I then count my decimal places. 1, 2, 3. I start here and I place it 1, 2, 3. And my answer would be 0.1, as we really know that 20 hundredths is the same as 2/10. So you don't, in this case though, you did not worry about lining up the decimals. You just write the problem. In the case of division of a decimal by a whole number, you divide normally and pop the point. So in this case, our divisor is 2. Our dividend is 6.00. What you would do is just divide normally. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. You would subtract, get a 0, bring down your next 0. 2 goes into 0 0 times. Remember our long division. Bring down the final 0. You place that. So every digit in the quotient has a partner in the dividend, and you pop the point. Simply shoot the point up. Divide normally. Our last example is division of a decimal by a decimal. The rule is move the decimal in the divisor to make it a whole number. And then you do that same into the dividend. So here I have a decimal in my divisor. To make it a whole number, I have to move it once, twice. So what happens is this 5 in my dividend, I also have to move once, that decimal point once, twice. This decimal point in my dividend gets moved also once, twice. So my new division problem becomes 25 into 500. Doing long division, you see the answer is, the quotient is 20. I could have said how many quarters were in $5. There were 20 quarters. So that is a basic quick review of operations with decimals.